Hello, and welcome back to the MovieVerse Podcast.
That's Will, and I'm Ryan, and we just watched Deadpool 3.
We have not conversed about it
We
at
have
all.
not spoken a single word to each other.
About like how we felt or
nothing. We watched it in two separate theaters at the same time, and now we are finally getting to talk about it. We're going to have to talk no spoilers at first.
no spoilers.
We did promise everyone last episode we're going to start with no spoilers, so that's what we're going to do now.
Yeah, but we will be getting into spoilers.
Oh, we are going to dive all the way into the deep end.
And that's pretty much what this entire episode is going to be. Just Deadpool and Wolverine themed.
Pretty much. Don't expect much other than Deadpool and Wolverine because...
We will get to other stuff in the future, but right now...
Yeah.
There's
a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Where do we start, man?
I guess
for non-spoilers.
Let's just jump into our star rating.
Star rating?
Yeah,
okay.
I want to jump into that and just kind of see where
fire it off.
Yeah.
You want to do a little 3, 2, 1?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. You count us down.
All right. And this
It's
is
out of 5.
This is out of 5. Yeah. I just want to.
Out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
All right. Go.
3, 2, 1.
4.5. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay.
I'm glad you liked it.
But for me, it's like.
It's high. For me, it's top 6 comic book.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I was thinking 4.5, but it's like at the bottom of the 4.5.
Really?
Yeah. I do have some like.
I'm kind of on the opposite end.
I have some like minor complaints, but I have like quite a few of them that happen throughout.
Okay.
But I love it. I love it.
I
It
absolutely loved it.
It was fantastic. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman absolutely
that was, like,
knocked it out of the park.
That
But that was expected.
It exceeded
right?
my expectations. Like for sure. Like
it's fantastic.
Like, do you think it exceeded what you thought it would be, or do you think it wasn't as good as you thought it would be?
I think I'm gonna have to rewatch it to say that for sure, because
I do need some more time with it.
With a movie like this, there's so much hype.
Yeah, there is.
There's so much hype, and I'd be lying if I said it like would be impossible for it to have clouded my judgment a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
So I will have to go.
Nothing's set in stone for me.
Yeah, I will have to go in and rewatch it. Also, guys, my hair is because I wore my Deadpool mask again.
He never takes that off.
Well, to be fair, I did just go watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, how am I not gonna wear that? Like,
I also spent like almost $200 on Wolverine popcorn buckets before the movie.
You did
before watching the movie. So
that was a big gamble on your part. But
it was, but
hopefully,
I loved it.
Yeah, hopefully it was worth it.
Hopefully, in one of these upcoming episodes, one of the popcorn buckets will be up here. I got like the tongue one, and I got like the cow one. I think I'm gonna put the cow up here to match where your Deadpool one normally is. But yeah, like I don't know what all we can say that's like non-spoilers. Like, where do you think we should go with that?
I'm gonna start off by kind of listing a few cons that I have, but I'm not gonna
non-spoiler.
Non-spoiler cons.
Okay.
Number 1, I think the pacing was a little bit off for me. I thought it was very like, for me there wasn't really any like overall structure. I mean, there was. There was. I'm sorry. I'm trying to gather my thoughts.
You're good. Go ahead. I'll let you cook.
Yeah. So it just felt like. Do you know what a run-on sentence is?
Yes, I know what a run-on sentence is.
Okay. I was like, I don't know if you remember that from like 8th grade. Like,
yeah,
but that's what this movie kind of felt like.
Really?
A movie, like a sentence that just didn't have any like periods. It didn't have any stopping points, just non-stop. Like, it's just coming at you, which I get is kind of like the point of this movie. But for me, it just kind of,
I do have a question for that though. Like, do you think it like, you say it like didn't stop, but did you feel kind of like the flow of the story?
Yeah.
That's what I felt.
No, I'm not saying that there wasn't any like story or like or cohesive plot.
That's not what I'm saying either.
I'm just saying for me, there was a lot of that, but it was just kind of like the movie's kind of a mess, but in a like not necessarily in a bad way.
I don't know, man.
Like, there's just so much going on, and it feels
there
like
is a lot going on.
It just feels like at some points it gets a little bit hard.
I feel like it makes sense though.
It makes sense, and especially for a Deadpool movie. Yeah. So I'm not knocking it too much. This is a very minor complaint. Like, it just feels like at some points it just feels like maybe we should stop and have like a little bit more
I
like
feel like
time.
we got that though.
Maybe, but for some of it, like
there are moments where it's like it goes really hard, and then we kind of like dial it back a little bit, and then we get some more like, I'm not gonna go like spoilers obviously, but like we dial it back and we get some more serious tones, and then like we kind of go back right into it, like just how we left off.
I guess I'm just not necessarily like able to express how I'm feeling about this. The pacing just seemed a little bit off to me.
I don't know. I didn't,
and that might change on rewatch, but
I didn't feel that at all.
Do you have any like any minor or major negatives that you want to point out?
Negatives? I don't know.
Before we get into like all the positives.
There's a lot of positives for sure. I hate to like start like,
because if we get the bad stuff out of the way, or the bad stuff out of the way first, and just kind of that just gives us an entire like 45 minutes.
I don't know what I can say
out of this movie.
I have very like minor like spoiler complaints, but when it comes to like overall, like when it comes to like the story and the plot and how you said like the pacing and whatnot, like I didn't really have many issues. Like I was like locked in the whole time. That movie like flew by for me also, just like some of these other like superhero movies that have been coming out too. Like how I did mention like how the Batman, like I felt how I like sunk into the Batman and was able to sit through that 3-hour long movie. I know this isn't a 3-hour long movie. It's like about 2 hours and something, I guess.
Something like that.
But like
2 hours and change.
But like I had so much fun from start to finish.
It's so fun, dude. It's Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman kicking the entire movie. Of course, it's gonna be fun.
Like, dude, it's there's so much in this movie to love that it's like it's almost hard for me to like reach out there and grab like gripes for it because it's just so much to love.
Another thing I will say I thought was kind of like a miss and like kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit is there, and this is not unique to this movie. This happens in a lot of comic book movies, and it's a big complaint I have about a lot of comic book movies. It's they use like there's so much mumbo jumbo exposition for things that just like are never really explained. They're just used as plot devices to move the story forward, but they're not used in any other like capacity. Like I feel like there's some stuff in there in this movie, way more so than the first two, where there's just some things that are just thrown in there with a very brief explanation, and it's very obvious to me that it's only there to help this story specifically move forward. Does that make sense?
I mean, kinda, but the only moments I would really say that happens to, like, that's kind of their only option. Like, for a lot of it.
I feel like they could have come up with something that made a little bit more sense. After 30-something movies...
I guess I'll have to hear exactly, like, what you're talking about when it comes to spoilers.
Yeah,
but like,
because it's really hard to...
Yeah.
We're trying to do not...
I don't know. I don't want to talk about any more gripes, though, because this movie was fucking amazing.
It was awesome.
Like,
it was fucking awesome.
It was, like... This movie is so good. The humor is by far the funniest one of the three.
I don't know if I get all three of them are so hilarious. I think this to me.
By far is the funniest Deadpool movie.
I can probably get
all
behind
around.
That. I can probably get
and
behind
also
that.
I would say this movie, the side characters and anyone else outside of Deadpool are also funnier than the side characters in the other movies. Like, the side characters in these movies are also hilarious, even when they're not trying to be. Like, how... See,
that's actually another one of my bigger complaints about the movie. But I'm going to get into that a little bit more during spoilers.
But, I don't know. I'm really interested to see how you disagree with that. Because, because like, a lot of stuff when it comes to, like, Wolverine and, like, their dynamic, like, Wolverine and Deadpool, like, how they kind of clash, but they're kind of, like, working together at the same time. And obviously, like... We see that progression throughout the movie. Like, we'll talk about that more later. But I don't know. It's like every time Wolverine is so blunt, like, it's so funny because it's so in character for him. And it's like,
dude, no, the entire time.
Laugh. Like, it makes me laugh so hard. Like, every time Wolverine is just like shut the up. Like, it's so hilarious to me. It's like, in Deadpool 1 or 2, I didn't feel like... Well, we do get moments like that, because all the Deadpool movies are pretty good. Like, I will say that. Like, they're all good.
So you think this is the best one, though?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay.
For sure, this is the best one.
For me, Deadpool 1 is still on top. This is, I think, number 2, and then Deadpool 2 is, I think is
This just does so much for me. This screams comic book.
Yeah,
It was giving me a lot of like James Gunn energy too, which I really loved.
That's fair.
Because like I was getting to see things from like, God, I can't say much, but like,
man,
I cannot wait to talk about spoilers. Holy,
yeah, dude, we're gonna have to like, how do we talk about this without talking? Like, I don't know. Can we even do this? Like, can we even do non-spoilers anymore? Like, do we?
I don't know. Do we just go to spoilers?
I guess, but yeah. We both gave it 4.5 stars. That's our rating.
It's outstanding. Go watch it.
It's awesome. You will not regret it. It's such a blast.
Like, even if you don't think it's the best Deadpool movie, you don't think it's the best MCU movie, it's up there for sure for me. And like, you'll have so much fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, you will not regret watching this movie. So that's really the big takeaway for me. But are you ready to talk about spoilers?
Yeah. So do you want me to just kind of explain?
Yeah, but wait, I have one big thing though.
Okay.
Daniel Radcliffe
was not in the movie.
No, he's the new Wolverine for the MCU, bro.
What?
We literally
I am
had this
so confused.
We had this conversation. We were like, "Oh, we should start it off and like do a lie."
Oh.
And I told you if I lied, you would fall for it and be like, "What are you talking about?" And you literally fell for it.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe isn't in the movie.
Yeah.
You already spoiled that.
You did like I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised too. We got Henry Cavill before.
We got Henry, dude. I was not expecting that. Because I've heard people like fan cast Henry Cavill as Wolverine before, but and this to me just
because I mentioned it to you before, and I was like, we were both like, oh, like I don't really. And
this
the joke they made about DC.
Oh my god,
they made a joke about DC. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna treat you much better over here. Oh, dude, that made me laugh so hard,
dude. But that just solidified to me why we shouldn't have Henry Cavill as Wolverine. Because I watched that.
He's just a cameo.
Yeah, and I watched that, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's.
But yeah, let's get into your gripes.
Okay,
more spoilers.
So, one of my biggest gripes is the fact that so many of the essential side characters just get sidelined.
Like who?
All of his friends, like Dopender. I wish Dopender were in it more.
He didn't need to be in the story though. He wasn't important to the story.
I know, but he's never important to the story.
He's never important to the story, but like. The whole point is him.
That's his whole point. Is Dopender
like he's going on such a like he's taking his adventure to like the next step where everything he's doing is for his people back home. Yeah, like he had no choice. He was taken away from them. He couldn't just be with them the whole time.
I just wish that he would have been because
that
would have made the movie that much funnier to me. But also, X-23, like Laura.
What about?
I feel like she should have gotten a little bit more time.
I think she was fine.
Like none of them actually, like. I'm very
I disagree with that.
I'm very character driven when it comes to stories.
Yeah, like but I thought the characters were outstanding.
They were, but I just didn't get enough time with any of them to like actually like any of the side.
But those aren't the important. The moral of the story is Deadpool and Wolverine.
I know,
and they deliver on that.
They deliver on that 100%. But. Side characters need time too.
Yeah, but
like, and I just don't think that they got.
Yeah, but all the side characters do their job. Like
they do their job.
Laura's there, and she sets up this other Wolverine to like really like for. I'm not gonna like say the ending just right now, but like like she sets him up for what happens to the end of the story. Like they do they're like role players, and they all do their role perfectly fine. I don't think they're like sidelined because if every side character had those. Big of a moment, like this movie would be like 10 hours long, bro.
I'm not talking about every single side character. I'm just talking about specifically characters like X-23. Yeah. I think she, like, I would have loved to see her, to see her in her comic book accurate suit like we did with Hugh Jackman. Like, I mean, that would have been badass.
But that's the same. That's from the same Logan universe, so it makes sense for her not to have a uniform.
I guess
he never had a uniform.
That's fair.
Channing Tatum is Gambit.
You called that.
Channing Tatum is Gambit.
You called that. What did you think?
Dude, that like blew my mind. I started clapping and I was the only one in the theater.
Yeah.
Like we were lucky enough to have like our own theater experience, like alone. So we didn't know each other's thoughts. But when I saw Gambit, I was like, I knew it. And the same thing with Chris Evans too. Chris Evans was the Human Torch and he hit.
Sadly, I had that spoiled for me.
Oh, that's what got spoiled?
That's what got spoiled for me.
Oh, that sucks.
That
I'm glad I
sucks.
didn't get spoiled that.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that got spoiled.
I knew
Actually, I mean, X-23.
I was waiting for the flame on. As soon as he hit the flame on, I was like, that's
And then
crazy.
Deadpool was just sitting there like, yeah, what? He's gonna say Avengers? What?
Dude, this movie is so funny on another
it's
level.
so funny.
It's like they really like lean into the like on Marvel and Fox.
Oh yeah. Also, some of the best action sequences we've ever. Dude, the opening scene is the best. I will say this: the best opening scene we've ever gotten.
I was comparing like you know that bus scene that reminded me of kind of like the hallway where they're like all the Deadpools are dying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, dying because
they regenerate.
Yeah.
And then Peter Pool comes out and saves the day, dude. See,
also, did you see
the side character from the other movies that transfer well and make sense to the story? Like that was like I feel like we didn't really like need Dopinder in this movie. Like,
but I just missed him because he was so great in the other two.
Yeah, he's great in the other two, but that's for the other two. This is something above his level.
I just think.
But he's really doing it for everyone he loves, which includes Dopinder.
Yeah, I know, but that's another thing. Like, with like Vanessa.
Yeah. What about her?
In this movie, I don't care about their relationship. She has literally 60 seconds of screen time max.
Yeah, I mean,
but they try to make it this whole thing of where he's trying to like be with her again. Like, first of all, why are they broken up in the first place? I mean, they do kind of explain why they're broken up.
Yeah,
but like, there's not enough explanation for me to care anymore.
I don't know, because like I feel like the whole Vanessa thing was like an added bonus to his story because.
But it wasn't a bonus to me because I just didn't care.
Yeah, but like the moral of the story was him like finding his own self-importance, like in his like world, like him doing everything and saving everyone he loves as a collective unit was what gave him his purpose, and he finally found that.
I guess
like that's the moral. That's what I got from the story. Like I didn't like. Yeah, the Vanessa.
I mean, I obviously got that, but I just
and they didn't lean into the Vanessa thing.
They didn't, and that's I think another problem is I think that they should have leaned into it a little bit more. If they're gonna do it, you should lean into it a little bit more.
She's like in a relationship with someone that isn't Deadpool, and
I mean, she said she was kind of seeing him like.
Still,
either way, my biggest complaint
wasn't like a big takeaway.
My biggest complaint of the movie is there's not enough time for any of like the side characters to really shine. Like X-23. I didn't see enough of her. Like I wanted to see more of her. I wanted to see more of
I thought X-23 was perfectly like written into the story, and she did what she needed to do for the story.
But she didn't have any she as a character didn't have like.
Yes, she did.
She didn't have any arc for herself.
This isn't her story.
I know it's not, but if you're gonna put somebody that big into a story,
like her being grown up and like pretty much taking on the mantle of Wolverine is kind of just like an update showing us where she is.
I know, but like at the same time,
could have just had another.
If you're gonna have characters this big and this important to like, because like the talk that Wolverine and X-23 have is a big talk.
Yeah,
and it's like integral. Like it's
huge. For
you
Wolverine.
Need it for Wolverine's story.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have somebody like be that important to Wolverine, you should give them something to work with.
She had her whole movie.
I know, but first of all, that wasn't her movie. It was Logan's movie.
Just as much as her movie, bro. Like almost. Like obviously it's Logan's movie, but like her character
is just as important to the story. I feel like she should have had not as big of a role.
It kind of goes without saying. Like she's there to like show this Wolverine like the importance of her Wolverine. Like that's why she's there. She's not there to have her own character arc. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not saying she needs to have something huge and grand, but give her something so that she doesn't just feel like because there was nothing for her to do other than to give Wolverine the motivation he needs. It just felt like all of these side characters were writing tools instead of characters.
I just don't see that. Like X-23 like definitely continued on her character. Like her character is straight from Logan. Like literally I just watched like Logan recently too. Like that is a perfect transition from Logan to now. Obviously there's a time jump, but she's like that's why she's there. She delivered. Like I'm surprised you even had a complaint about like that because that just like that just surprised me a lot because
I
thought she did perfectly fine.
She did perfectly. Like, I'm not saying that like Daphne Keane did anything wrong.
No, I'm not saying that either. I'm not even saying you said that.
I just wish we had gotten a little bit more. Like I loved what we got.
Like what though?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I just watched the movie.
Yeah.
But like maybe we could
like
I don't know. But that's the point. That's not my job to write these movies.
Like I just didn't think it was necessary. Like I don't know. I think if she had a character arc, that would, if anything, just clutter the movie more than it needed to be. Because there's a lot that happens.
The movie's already cluttered though. But it's a cluttered movie in and of itself. Like, there's so much going on.
There's so much, but like it's balanced.
It is balanced. It is balanced for the most part. And the movie handles itself very well.
It does.
I will say, this movie feels like it was what Quantumania wanted to be.
I mean, this movie, I wouldn't even compare those two movies. Like, this movie is outstanding.
No, but like, if you think about it, like Deadpool is like succeeds in doing what Quantumania tried to do and failed miserably to do. Like bringing in a bunch of different variants of your main character, and like I don't know, like it just
I don't know.
It took both movies. I feel like
any of those movies.
Like both of these movies, I feel like take a lot of the same swings, but Deadpool's like
it's a completely different movie.
They're completely different movies.
They're not comparable to me.
But like,
I can kind of see what you're saying, but like in my head, like watching this movie, like those similarities don't even cross my mind because of how much better this is. Like, for me, this is a completely like different and reinvented like type of movie.
I also thought the ending was a little bit rushed and like I'm gonna go deeper into what I was saying about like the writers just kind of adding stuff to like to just move the plot along, like the whole universe like thing.
For these complaints, for your rating and the complaints, it seems like you would be more at like a 4 or something, just because these complaints.
Like I said, it's like right there.
So you think it's just a 4.5?
Like just barely a 4.5 for me. Like I'm willing to overlook all of these complaints that I have a little bit because of how much good we got. There is a lot of good.
I don't know.
And all the cameo, and again, like I loved all the cameos that we got, and I loved X-23 and
the cameos were
Channing
awesome.
Tatum and Blade.
Channing Tatum was
Elektra.
funny as hell,
dude. And then also the Van Wilder long hair version of Deadpool.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
dude! And we got we got to see like the sneak peek of like him in his brown and yellow suit fighting the Hulk.
Oh my! I'm a little sad we didn't get to see a little bit more of that. Hulk.
Yeah.
But dude, that one joke.
There was no Spider-Man.
That is true.
I was right about that.
But the one scene where he had like the guy with the Deadpool with the long hair and stuff.
Oh yeah.
When he was like, I do a little bit of the fourth wall breaking too, and then he looks and says one word, and then Deadpool's like, do you think that's what I do?
that was so funny. Dude, there was so many like little moments like that made me die laughing. Especially when he was like, let him cook. I was like,
dude, Deadpool one-liners will forever be one of the greatest things to ever exist.
No, but I feel like they're amplified in this movie.
They are, and it's great.
Yeah.
The
humor really outshines the other two in this one for me. And I don't know if that's more because it's more recent humor and it's more with the time, but like I just thought there was more of it, and just it was more casual, and it wasn't more like it was less in your face but more funny that way. You know what I mean? Like it's obviously in your face because it's Deadpool and he's going to break the fourth wall regardless, but it just felt like there's so many little, and I don't know, because I don't want to say that because every Deadpool movie is like that. I just feel like in this movie it was amplified, just like the tiny little things that he just mentions that like you normally wouldn't give a second thought to, but when you think about it, you're like, wait, that's really funny.
That is really funny. And I have to watch it again to like get all of them, like to like remember like all the, because I can't even remember all the jokes.
I'm sure
that
you're
were
going to be insufferable repeating all of those lines from this movie. Not ready for that.
You're not. But yeah, that I guess I just, so my biggest complaints with the movie is
the character,
is not even necessarily like just the fact that I feel like I could have gotten a little bit more from a few of them, specifically X-23. Like all the other ones I don't really care about. Like I like Channing Tatum as Gambit, just leave him in the background for like cool, like because the Gambit action that we got was really cool.
Yeah, it was
like
cool.
the whole like him like flipping around throwing the cards.
I still think Channing Tatum looks so goofy as Gambit.
Oh yeah, no, he looks
Here's one of my minor gripes. That actually reminds me. Hugh Jackman looks a little weird with the cowl on. I'm not gonna lie. He looks a little odd, but I loved every moment we got with it because of how new and like how much
I think that's for it. I was gonna say I agree with you, but the only reason I think it looks weird is because I'm so used to not seeing it in live action. I just think
they made the Batman joke.
Yeah, and I think oh my god, I just think it feels wrong seeing it in live action after 20 years, 24 years after not seeing. And I like that they do like talk about that, like how we waited so long. Right. Also, like there was some other like questionable designs, like Deadpool. I thought was like overly goofy compared to everything else. I didn't care about that part.
I didn't really care. I was able to overlook it because it was kind of funny. But
and you know that Blake Lively played Ladypool, right?
Did she?
Yeah, she's in the credits.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, I made sure to like watch the credits to make sure.
I didn't know she was Ladypool.
Oh, and dude, the post-credit scene.
Oh yeah, the post-credit scene's really funny. That is an outstanding post-credit scene. Make sure to stay for that.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Really funny. Chris Evans killed it.
Oh my god, dude.
Like that was outstanding.
Hey, see, that's another character I didn't mind not having like an arc. Yeah. Like X-23 is.
But at that point, it seems like you're picking it. It just seems like you just have a gripe about X-23.
Pretty much, actually. Like she's the only one that I wish had at least a little bit more because it seems like they tried to give her a little bit more.
I think it's less of the side characters and more of just.
It's more of just her now that I'm thinking about it. Like I like because they tried to give her a little bit more with the campfire scene with her and Hugh.
But I just thought that she had like. I just thought what we got from her was perfect for this story. And I know you said it was like kind of like you feel like it was kind of just written in that way, but it was like I feel like it worked really well. Like I feel like she was there, like her like seeing her again was like great, like oh like she's back and she as a character, as a side character, she was able to give Wolverine, like them, like one of him and Deadpool are the number like 1 and 2 characters in this movie. She was able to give pretty much the main character like that drive to like become who he is. Like that is an important thing for her to do.
Yeah,
so it
for sure is.
I don't have any complaints
like
about
it's that isn't my complaint. My complaint is it's so obvious to me as I'm watching the movie that she is being used as a writer's tool.
Dude, I can't
agree with that. And that's one of my biggest complaints about Deadpool 2 is that so many of the not any character specifically, just that there's so many things in there that's so obviously meant to be like a writer's tool. Like the moment in Deadpool 2,
like the moment I agree with X-23, but I can see what you're saying.
Like the moment in Deadpool 2 when he's like, well, that's just lazy writing. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you wrote the movie, dumbass. It's like, yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's funny. Don't get me wrong.
Deadpool 2 is definitely the weakest link. I don't think these two are very comparable.
Yeah, no, that is true. I will say I do think that Deadpool and Wolverine is a lot better than Deadpool 2.
For sure.
But yeah, no, just with X-23 specifically, I feel like I could have gotten a little bit more from her.
I think we got to move on from that because
there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, I don't want to go in circles with that. I'm going to have to disagree with you there though.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
because it isn't her movie. Like
it's not.
Like it's not her movie.
She did outstanding.
She did outstanding, and I'm not saying she didn't. I just feel like we could have gotten a little bit more from her, character-wise and action-wise. Like we didn't get a lot of her, like in terms of action, which is wasted because she kicks ass.
That's true. I mean, I can maybe give you that because there could have been some more action with her, but then again, there's so much going on, and the overall like. Large scale sequence like action sequences we get the sequences we get like there's multiple like scenes that almost compare to like the Guardians 3 hallway scene. Like there's times in this movie where they're like wow like there's another one and I'm watching another fight scene like wow there's another one.
The fact that they were able to pull off such an entertaining fight scene literally in a minivan,
oh yeah, so
impressive. Dude, exactly. Sean Levy or Levy, however you pronounce his name, I don't care. Like, master. Dude, like, he... And whoever coordinated those fights, I'm sure amazing.
I'm sure there's like a whole group of
people. A whole crew of people. Like, obviously, there's a lot of people that go into making these movies. And we just want to thank everyone who worked on the movie because we both had such a good time.
It was
like as much as I'm like coming out with these like gripes.
I could easily see this being a revival for the MCU.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
This is definitely like a good stamp, and I thought like Cassandra Nova was an outstanding villain for this movie. Like I really, really, really enjoyed her here. Like she is written very well. I also love that he pointed out. There was this is such a specific scene, but I know you probably remember it. And it's like, they're like, oh, the Goliath thing is coming. He's like, oh, from Loki season 1, episode 5.
Dude, he's so specific with everything. Like, it's so funny, that was so funny. But
yeah, we're gonna be sweating too. We're in suits and it's hot in here. We got no AC.
In terms of Cassandra Nova, I agree. She was written amazingly, and her character is awesome, and she's great.
You kind of seemed like you were kind of doubtful when I said that, though. Like you
pick a villain. Like the other guy, Paradox. Him. I did not care about him at all.
They go hand in hand.
I know, but I cared about Cassandra so much more. Like I wanted her to be the main antagonist. Like I was so happy.
I feel like they kind of like matched each other's freaks.
And that's why I didn't really care for the ending all that much. It's just because it felt so rushed, and it felt like
I wouldn't say it's rushed. I just feel like maybe it could have been more, but like for that story, like I was honestly okay with it.
Yeah, and then again, like the whole thing that she was
kind
the
of
whole
more
machine,
like climatic as an ending. Like, do you wish there was kind of just more to it? Or?
More to it and made more sense. Because hear me out.
Okay.
Like the whole like machine that she was using.
Yeah.
Like whatever it was called, like
I have to rewatch it, but
like again, that thing specifically was one of the things where it was like, oh, that's just in there to move the story along. Like that's one of the things in comic book movies that is used all the time as like like this huge thing that's gonna cause so much death that this villain is gonna use. And the superheroes have to go in and stop, and it's gonna probably kill them, but then it doesn't because...
I actually really like how this movie kind of expands a little bit more on the TVA also.
I do like that.
Because it also kind of shows, like, how timelines... Like, I thought it was so interesting how they, like, established how, like, there can be soul beings in a universe where when they die, like, their whole universe dies because of how important they are. Like how Logan, like, that whole universe started dying because of Logan.
I just feel like stuff like that and stuff like the...
No, like I think that's a cool way to explain like how some of these other universes happen, because like it kind of neatens up. I think it kind of like...
I guess, but at the same time,
like,
it's
I think it kind of dots some eyes.
It's like, it does, but at the same time, it just feels so shoehorned in.
You thought it was like cheap?
Yeah, a little bit. But like, again, I'm not saying any of this was bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I thought a little bit of it could have been like kind of shined up a little bit better. Cause like stuff like that just feels shoehorned in. The whole ending with that, like them being like, oh, you're gonna die if you go and do this. And then them making all these pointless sacrifices because they literally walk out without a scratch on them.
Well, I don't think...
And then the dark, and then like the dark, like obviously they didn't know that, but like at the end of the day, it all just becomes pointless because they didn't end up dying because the power of friendship or whatever. Like that whole ending sequence to me just felt very... That's interesting. Tropish and very
I can kind of get behind that.
Like that whole ending thing was just, and again, it just felt so rushed.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie didn't really feel rushed to me. That wasn't really a problem.
Yeah.
But towards the ending, when that stuff was going down and she was actually using the machine, I was just sitting there like, okay, yeah, I've seen this sequence like a dozen times before. Like there are aspects to this movie where I'm like, okay, I've seen this before.
I can kind of understand.
Like I'd rather like, and going into a movie,
the ending could have been better.
Yeah,
for sure. A little bit.
And something I will point out that I really liked though was the way Cassandra like the way she's like her hand in the faces.
Like all the visual effects were
my god, that was so good. Like again, the writing is so good and the characters are so good.
There are some moments like kind of like when Cassandra Nova just like, oh, I just have a sling ring. Yeah, like stuff like that is kind of...
That one for me makes a little bit more sense because she is in the void, so it's not the most unlikely thing in the world.
Nothing really doesn't make sense in the movie. It's just kind of like...
Are the portals able are the sling ring portals able to like go
travel outside of the void?
Yeah, because like
apparently so.
Does that mean they can like go to other universes, because the void is supposedly like another like separate reality from everything else? So I don't know. This movie for me just opens up like a bunch of like can of worms that the MCU is now going to have to explain later.
I thought this explained more than it set up to explain. Personally, like
I think it did. But I still think that the stuff that it has to explain later is still there.
But the MCU's continuity as of recent cannot be all completely solved by this one movie.
That is true, like, and I will give you that.
People did set this movie for high standards to like alter like the multiversal aspect of the MCU, and like I've been saying, like, I didn't want them to affect that too much. Like, I kind of wanted it to be like a confined story to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which it was, but it also, in the same aspects, like, really did expand. Like, not necessarily the multiverse itself, but how it works. Which is, I thought it was cool at times. Like, obviously, some things are kind of just like, some things are a little iffy, and some things you kind of just have to see play out for the future of the MCU. But, like, I thought for the most part, it was pretty good.
After this movie, do you think they're gonna recast Wolverine?
He's got to show up for Secret Wars, right?
Probably.
They can't have they have like the ongoing joke, like
they're gonna you're 90 until you're 90. Like they're gonna be milking you until they're 90, until you're 90. Like, that is a good joke though. Like they're not letting you
and
go.
Just like this had like almost like as brutal of action as like Logan. Like raw action.
Dude, and something I will say I think would have made this movie a little bit better is if it had been a little bit more TVA centered. Like I feel like if the most of the movie had been like them.
I'm really surprised of just these opinions that you've had from this
like I am too. Like I'm still trying to formulate my thoughts, so I could easily change my stances on any of these things.
Yeah, we both could.
Like I just feel like also I was also kind of surprised that Owen Wilson didn't show up.
Me too. I actually did think about that during the movie. I was like, oh, it kind of makes more sense. I mean, I feel like the movie was better without Owen Wilson and Loki involved.
That's fair.
Because like I don't think they were necessarily needed, and that would have just been more shit in it.
Yeah, I just feel like if they had toned down the like, not obviously they shouldn't have toned down from the scale of the movie, because the scale of this movie is what makes it so great at some parts. But like, I wish at some parts they would have slowed it down a little bit more and gotten like maybe a little bit more emotional. Like I feel like like specifically in the scene where Cassandra is in Wolverine's head and they're like by the pillars. I feel like if they would have like kind of slowed that down a little bit more and then made it more emotional for Wolverine, and then maybe you could have seen Cassandra in more of like a humanizing light and made her a little bit more relatable. And
I think there was a really nice moment where we do get something like that. It was a little more subtle, but whenever they decide to take the helmet off of her and she's kind of just like, all right, like I'll let you do your thing, and like they have that really grounded moment where he's like if Professor X knew you're here, like he would stop like everything.
Oh yeah, and again, the dialogue is like, it's top tier dialogue, but
like I think moments like that do help to that point.
Exactly,
though.
but with obviously with that scene specifically, there are some jokes messed around in there. Like the one part where like they take the helmet off and then she immediately kind of goes like this to point at Deadpool. And he's like, "No, don't like rip my skin off." Like, I mean, that makes sense. Jokes, and again, it makes sense. I just wish that they had like made it a little kind of like how I said about Deadpool 1. I wish they had kept that deleted scene in there and made it like kept it a little bit more emotional. Yeah. And I wish they had kind of done that a little bit more for this. And like, I don't know, like as much as I love the queeping,
I just thought it was like,
sorry about that. I just spit everywhere.
I thought it was I thought like the emotion, like obviously there's an argument to be had of if there should have been more, but I think the emotion we did get was like well crafted.
Oh yeah, story. For sure. I will say that I'm not knocking what I got. I mean, I am a little bit because I think thinking
back on the movie, there are like some really good moments with emotion in them.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say it's as emotional as like some of like the peaks of maybe like Infinity War or Endgame or things.
And I'm not saying it should be on that level. I'm just saying what I love about the MCU and what I love about a lot of comic book movies is the mixture of comic book craziness and like grounded reality, even in Deadpool movies. Because like in Deadpool movies, you obviously get the quippiness and the dark humor, but you also get like the crazy ass like violence and like the grittiness of the world that he's in.
For sure.
And I'm not saying you should have made this movie grittier.
Mm.
I just kind of wish we had gotten a little bit more like emotion from Deadpool specifically, because I feel like throughout the entire movie
I don't know. I just like I didn't watch that movie and I'm like, God, I really wish Deadpool had more emotion in that movie.
I'm not even saying just for Deadpool. I'm just saying in general.
Because like Deadpool only takes himself so seriously.
That is true. So I have like very like, and again I have very little problem with Deadpool being a pretty unemotional character. Yeah. Like, although there was one scene,
like the whole movie is him finding purpose.
Yeah, like and I do like that.
Like the emotion is kind of the arc of the entire movie for him.
Yeah, like I just wish I just wish that they kind of slowed it down at some parts.
Like here's how I see it. Like since the entire like consensus of the movie is that arc for Deadpool, like finding his purpose, I feel like they can not necessarily put as much into like each individual scene with so much emotion, since they're kind of like flowing that entire arc throughout the like throughout the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
Like the whole journey he goes on is for that like kind of emotional piece at the end, and it's kind of like it all kind of feeds into that.
But again, why do I care about that emotional piece? Because he's getting back with his girlfriend who I haven't seen for the entire movie. Like,
yeah, but that like him getting back with his girlfriend isn't like holy shit that's the ending. Like he's back with his girlfriend. Like,
but I feel like if you're gonna play into that, you should at least make me care.
I think it's just like something that like if you know everyone obviously knows how much he cares about Vanessa from I was about to say episode, but movies like the Deadpool 1 and 2.
Yeah.
That it's like we don't really need to see Vanessa to know how much he cares for Vanessa and how much like moving forward as a character like post like Deadpool 3 it's going to like affect his life. Like we know that's going to be a big impact on him if we ever get like a Deadpool 4.
Yeah, but at the same time it's like if you're going to like try and make it so he's going after her in this movie and like trying to win her back, because that's what he's doing a lot of the time. Like he's trying to win Vanessa back, and
when I'm watching the movie, it seems like he more focused on saving his world and saving the like collective group of people he loves over just Vanessa. I know at the end he's like, I did this for you, but like he really did it for everyone.
He did it for everyone, but then again, all the other characters that he did it for, we spend barely any time with,
and that's so, okay because if he spent time with them the whole time, they'd all be dead.
Unless he just brought them on his like trip with him.
I mean, yeah, but
I'm okay. I would have been okay.
He got Wolverine because he was trying to fix his timeline.
Well, yeah, but like I would have been okay with him and his friends, not all of them per se, but maybe like bring in Negasonic, Dopender, and
I'm honestly kind of glad they weren't the focus though.
I'm glad they weren't the focus, but like
I did give us so much more to like latch on to.
But I just missed them. They because they're such a big part of the like the Deadpool movie's identity. They're so like in there, and just having them completely absent from this movie pretty much just kind of I was kind of sad about that.
I mean, that's fair if you're like upset about not being able to see those characters like as much,
and again, and I'm not saying it was like my like the worst thing in the world, because obviously I still had a fuck ton of fun with this movie.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could have had more fun.
I don't know. I think it's just too soon for me to like really have
a
final stance
again, I will have to rewatch it for me to like truly know. But yeah. I mean, also, are there any cameos that we're missing?
Blade like
I mean, I mentioned him earlier, but like
but when I saw Blade, I was like, holy did not think he was going to be in this movie.
Nope.
Like, not at all. Like, I literally just fully...
I sort of half called it earlier because I called Blade, but I thought it would... I thought it would have been Mahershala Ali because...
Oh, also how Ryan Reynolds is like... He was like...
Oh, yeah.
It was like, oh, yeah, he never did like me. Like, stuff like that is so funny.
Oh, my God.
And also, I loved how Channing Tatum's like...
I'm taking this jacket off.
That's fair.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I saw like Channing Tatum's Gambit, and his character is so funny because he was like, first of all, he was talking about like how his dad like shot him into his mom and stuff like that, and then he was like, I don't really know where I came from. I never really had a time to shine or anything.
Dude, just making the joke that like, oh yeah, I was scrapped.
And like he was kind of just like, they like literally just fully admitted like, yeah, he's the only reason he's here is because he just wanted to be Gambit, and his accent was so crazy. And he Ryan Reynolds said that he spoke like Minions.
He's like, who is your dialect coach? The fucking Minions? Like,
that was to a point, bro.
What?
You should just be like a backup for Ryan Reynolds. Like if he ever dies, don't AI his voice. Just have you just say shit.
I am told that I do a good Ryan Reynolds impression. I can't really hear it because I just hear myself.
Lots of hours edging to Deadpool will get you there.
Just, I immediately think of the one clip from Deadpool 1 where he's like, it's like, okay, now let's rewind, and it just cuts to him jerking off, staring into the eyes of his like stuffed unicorn.
Oh my
He's
God,
like,
bro!
Just edging to Deadpool.
Dude, you're. I really like the ending during the credits, like how they how they showed like behind the scenes for all the X-Men movies. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, and what was the song that was playing?
I don't remember.
These moths! I swear to God. Did I get it?
Did you catch that?
I think I did.
Open your hand. Oh my God! What the?
The fact that we got that on camera too is.
I had a whole lot of fun with the movie.
I had a whole lot of fun. As much as I've been like talking about my complaints about the movie, there's so much to love.
There is so much,
and that's why I still give it 4.5 stars.
Don't get us wrong. Like we both have it rated very highly.
Oh yeah, it's
just
I don't know where
we
it
both
ranks.
love this character so much.
Oh
that
yeah,
Deadpool is gonna be gripes.
Deadpool is probably my favorite.
That's
my
fair.
favorite comic book character.
He's not my ultimate favorite, but he's definitely like up there.
He became my favorite after I read a certain like issue of his, and I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but it's basically Deadpool stumbles across a girl who's gonna jump off a building. And basically, the whole issue is just him like helping this person like find like
That's sweet.
Like
it's not
like reason to like and he like helps her like find a way to like outlet her anger, and he like takes her to like this like group of like people that are like that have been like exploiting people, and they just like beat the shit out of them with baseball bats. It's a really cool comic book, and where it shows Deadpool's soft side a little bit, and at the end of it, he's on his motorcycle and he like takes her to like a hospital, and he's like, and she's like, and he basically tells her, as much as I helped you today, I'm not a professional therapist. These people are going to help you out the best.
That's cool. It's not necessarily like my ideal version. Like,
I'm explaining it very badly and very short, obviously.
No, you're
like,
good. Like,
I feel like if you read it, it would
probably
hit the home a little bit more because I'm explaining it very quickly.
Yeah.
But I read that comic and I was like, oh, damn, Deadpool has layers sometimes.
Deadpool as a character, I don't really like. I never like really like. I'm not craving like super super deep emotion when it comes to Deadpool.
That's fair. I just really like nuance, even in comic book movies like this, where it's like it's just dumb fun and crazy action and funny quips. Like I do like
you can get away with a lot just because it's a Deadpool movie.
Yeah, and I feel like this movie is carried heavily by Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as like a duo. Which it should. Obviously, the movie's called Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. I just feel like
I don't think that's a complaint at all.
No, I just feel like it relies a little bit too heavily on that.
That's like saying a Batman movie relies on Batman.
No, I'm just saying everything else I feel like was a little bit too subpar for my liking. Even though I thought I don't even think it's subpar. I'm just trying to like use like that word as like an example, like because I love the movie, obviously.
Yeah.
Like everything other than their banter and their back and forth, I thought was awesome. I just can't hold it up to a standard.
Don't get me wrong. It's not like I only have one. Obviously, the Suicide Squad James Gunn movie is my only 5-star rated comic book movie as of now. But
I don't think it's like 3.
I don't think it's there, but I think it is like a really good. Like I'd probably put it at the upper or middle level of like a 4.5 range.
It's fair
because like, and here's like to kind of close it out here. This is kind of like my main consensus is just I had so much fun from start to finish. The cameos were nice. There were some cameos that obviously did more for the story than others. And like, I have to disagree with you on, I loved X-23's like her, part of the story. Like I thought was done very well.
I thought really it was done well too. I just feel like I could have gotten a little bit more from her specifically.
And that's fair. I also loved Cassandra Nova. I
loved her too.
She was great.
The actress
I liked Paradox. I thought Paradox, like the acting was really nice. Like
I loved the acting all all around the board is amazing.
No,
I just didn't care for Paradox as much.
I thought he was cool.
I thought he was funny. I thought he was funny.
Yeah.
I didn't like that they tried to make him just as much of a main villain as Cassandra. I think
he is though.
But I wish that they hadn't made that.
I don't see how you don't, because like he pretty much is the reason she is a huge villain.
Yeah, I know. But you don't need to make
you need one to have the other. Like
yeah, I know, but you need both of them. And I'm glad he was in the movie. Obviously, I just wish that she had gotten the bigger spotlight of both of them.
I feel like she did.
I don't think she did. I think both of them.
She clearly did have a bigger spotlight than Paradox in that movie. Like most definitely did.
I mean, people are going to remember. I think people are going to remember her more.
Paradox feel like did not have more of a spotlight than Cassandra Nova in that movie. There's no way you can like actually say that.
In terms of like screen time,
dude, like the whole
in terms of screen time and effect on the movie,
the whole time they're in the void with these other like cameo like people and like the whole team up, they're like all plotting against her because they know she is really the main threat.
Yeah, but they're only in the void for a certain amount of time. Like
they're only in any place in the movie for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and that's another thing. The movie's just all over the place, and I wish that Cassandra had more of a spotlight.
These complaints are crazy for me.
They're not even really complaints. And if they are, they're so minor. Because again, I loved the movie and I loved what they did, and I'm so excited to see where they go in the future. Because like, holy shit!
We'll end out the episode with what did you like about the movie?
Well, obviously, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are great. Like that one part where like Wolverine goes on that like huge like tangent about how much he like fucking like hates Wade and like how much of a loser he is, and he's just so like pathetic. And then there's just like that pause, and then Deadpool's just, I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah.
Like because like for me, he had never really had someone like he's never had someone like attack him that harshly, like personally with words. Yeah. So he just didn't know how to react. He was just,
that was kind of interesting to see.
I'm gonna fight you. Like
we've never seen Deadpool in that sort of situation,
right? Because he was just sitting there like, fuck you.
Like it does give you new to like the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool.
Yeah, and it is. I do like it. Like, because no one's been able to hurt Deadpool's feelings up till now. Yeah. Like, so far, Logan has pretty much been the only.
Like, no one better to do it.
Exactly. Like, so yeah, that I just loved.
I do kind of get your ending complaint a little bit, though.
Yeah, let's see. And again, I loved all the cameos. I loved all of them. Like, I thought all of them were hilarious. Yeah. I thought like the Chris Evans.
I don't know. It seems like you have more complaints than positives for the movie.
I'm
like, all right. So how did you think the humor compares to Deadpool 1 and 2?
The only Deadpool movie I think that comes close to like that I think kind of like levels with it is Deadpool 1. I think Deadpool.
Would you give Deadpool 3 the edge?
In terms of humor, maybe.
Okay.
Probably.
Action? I feel like it has better action.
Probably.
Overall.
Yeah. Camera work, yeah. But the camera work in Deadpool 1 is really cool too.
Also, like, I think Deadpool 3 had better visual effects too. Especially like how you said with like the whole Cassandra Nova hand stuff.
Probably, but to be fair, Deadpool 1 did not have that high of a budget. So like what they were able to pull off.
I'm not holding that against it. I'm just saying like
because I like again,
a higher
I do
budget
think
normally warrants for a better visual effect
that
team,
is,
and that seems
well,
like,
I mean, nowadays, because the Flash,
you could tell a lot more care was put into this movie.
Yeah, obviously,
like but, even at the like start with the whole Backstreet Boys like killing the TVA
dude,
agents, like,
again,
sick.
That intro, the best intro we've gotten for a comic book movie.
Really?
Yeah, I said that, like, or maybe MCU. I don't know if I'm gonna hold that to every comic book movie, but like the whole intro really where he's using Logan's bones to like kill all these TVA members. And he even uses
the claws and like stabs himself. He's like, damn, this is hard to use.
Yeah, like, and then like it just it'll just randomly cut to him dancing to NSYNC. Like, and then really cool. Yeah, dude, that whole sequence was amazing. I loved the whole TVA aspect of him just being like, I am Marvel Jesus. MJ, if you're feeling spicy. But
that part didn't hit me as hard just because like we saw it in the trailer.
Yeah,
like
it's
it was
still
cool.
funny to me, but like
I mean, it wasn't as funny to me if I've seen it like every single time there's any promo for Deadpool and I see, oh, he's Marvel Jesus. Like at that point, I'm just waiting for him to say it in the movie. Like
I guess, but I still found it awesome, and like the other times that it was mentioned, like later, he's just like. Where he's like, yeah, I'm Marvel Jesus. MJ, if you're feeling spicy. Like, the one-liners are what really sell.
That's why I think the humor is the best here.
Like, the one-liners, there's just so much of it. And it's like, they really pile it on.
But do you see what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't really as in your face as 1 and 2. Like, I feel like the one-liners are more kind of shoved down your throat a little bit more in 1 and 2. Not
for two, I will give you it. Not so much for 1. I think 1.
I feel like 1 and 2 are very similar.
Maybe, but I feel like 1 is so clearly better than 2.
No, like when it comes to like when it comes to the like delivery of the lines, I feel like 1 and 2 are pretty much on the same level. I feel like 3 kind of stands out a little bit when it comes to like it's more kind of low key. Like
I will also give that to you. I just Deadpool 1 will always have like a special place in my heart. Yeah, it was one of the first.
If that's what you're going off of, then sure.
And I also just think it's a more cohesive story, like, which makes sense because it's way more just like street level.
I think from start to finish, like I think they set out a goal, and then by the end of the movie, obviously they wrap up the goal as most things do. But like, they had like I feel like that version of Wolverine and obviously the Deadpool like we know and love had like a great like transition of like an era throughout, no, not an era, like an arc throughout this movie, and like I think they finished it out well. I think the ending could have been a little better, but I think it got the point across, and I think you can just really tell how much love and passion was put into the movie.
Obviously, and I'm not trying to dox this movie. I'm just trying to. I feel like I don't want to just glaze this movie for an hour on here. I want to actually come on here.
Well, I don't think you did that.
I mean, but I will in the future though, because like I've got a lot of glazing to do for this movie because holy shit,
I'm just excited to watch it again.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, go watch it. It's fantastic. Like,
and thank you for watching the episode.
Yeah,
because we had a blast watching this movie.
We had a blast.
This was probably one of the most excited movies from Marvel I've seen in a while. Like I haven't been this excited to sit down in a theater and watch a Marvel movie this bad.
Yeah. And I am interested to see how this affects the MCU moving forward.
I mean, like I said, like we said in the last episode, Captain America Brave New World looks promising.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And
hopefully that delivers.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have as good of a time with this movie. I hope you have a better time than we did because
hopefully if you're watching all these spoilers, you've already seen the movie though.
Yeah. Yeah. And this episode is going to come out in a week from when we're because when we're filming this, it's just coming out.
Yeah, literally.
So hopefully by the time you're seeing this, you've already watched it because most of this episode is just.
And let us know what you thought about the movie, because we definitely want to know, and let us know how you feel about either my or his takes about the movie and what you agree with, disagree with, because this is really the first time we've had a major drop on the podcast where we were able to just have a full conversation. Like this is what we would normally talk about before we would start a podcast. So I thought it was a lot of fun to just kind of sit down and talk about a brand new Marvel release, specifically,
right,
and have this moment on the podcast because we haven't been able to do that yet,
right.
So it was,
and I will say, in this movie's because I love this movie, and it's one of I feel like it was just ripped straight from a comic book page.
Exactly. And that's what I love the most when I'm watching a comic book movie. Like how much it feels like this is like almost the live action embodiment of a comic book.
Right.
Like that is my favorite part. And this
yeah, it does. And again though, I will say I when it comes to live action adaptations of comic books, I love that mixture of like the realness.
Oh my god, wait, we never talked about, we're going to have to like, this is so late in the episode to bring this up.
What?
But I have to like I have to know what you thought about seeing the short Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I just remembered that.
Oh my god.
He turns out he was like, oh my god, comic accurate Wolverine. And he's like,
it's still Hugh Jackman.
Like 4 foot tall.
It's like, oh, I was watching and he said comic book accurate. I was like, that's a little shorter than comic book accurate, right? Like he's supposed to be 5'2". That's like 4'10".
That's
like,
really short. Anyways,
yeah.
Shout out to everyone.
Is there anything that you want to bring up before we close out the episode?
Outside of that, no. I feel like we covered it, and if we missed anything, we'll make sure to cover it in episode 6 briefly.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Episode 6. That's crazy.
I know. Already like almost in episode 6. That is kind of wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to everyone that has made it this far. Sorry, we probably had like 5 outro attempts and just had to keep talking more about it because that's how good this movie is.
Yeah, because there's so much to talk about. Like there's so much going on and there's so many cameos.
And like I said, like we'll do more into it, I'm sure, in the future, especially when it comes to comparing this to the rest of the MCU. So I'm just glad we were able to have this whole episode just contained to this movie.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. But yeah, we will see y'all later.
Yeah.
Hasta la vista.